What if I told you you could recreate the look of CineStill without shooting CineStill at all? Everybody loves the CineStill look, the halation around the highlights, the contrast, and the color saturation. I've always known that it was possible to recreate the CineStill look so close that most probably wouldn't be able to tell. And I've wanted to do this experiment for a while where I shoot one roll of CineStill 800T and one roll of generic film, which in this case is Kodak Ultramax 400, and I recreate the CineStill look with just a filter, push processing, and a few things you can do in Lightroom. Before we dive into this experiment, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button below. It helps us keep going and offer more awesome content for you guys to watch in the future. But let's go see if we can recreate the CineStill look on Kodak Ultramax 400. All right, so we just finished shooting the roll of CineStill. We're gonna move on to our Kodak Ultra 400 and see if we can recreate the CineStill look. I've got 3 filters here. I've got a 1/8 black chrome mist, a 1/4 black chrome mist, and a glimmer glass 1. I'm gonna shoot one frame that's the same, but switch out the filters. And then I'm just gonna pick one of the filters I think is gonna create the CineStill look, mainly the halation, and see what we get. Then in processing and developing, I'm gonna push that roll one stop. I shot my filter test. I shot this rad ATM that I found, and I used all 3 filters. Shot a couple different exposures, so we'll see which one looks best. We developed our 2 rolls. Let's dive in and take a deeper look and see how close we got to recreating the CineStill look. I'll start with the CineStill 800 just so we have a base of something to compare to. Honestly, I love this film. It is really cool. I don't like, excuse me, I don't like how expensive it is. It's the same reason why I don't shoot portrait that often, but you do get a cool look. And we'll start off with this first photo. I think the one thing out of this experiment that is going to be really hard to recreate without post work is the red tint that you get around the halation. So this is a good example. You get the glow around the highlights here, the halation, but what you also get is this like warmer, like extra glow, if you will, or inner glow. What this is coming from is from the fact that there's no rim jet. Yes, the light is diffracting, which is making the highlights bloom, but what's also happening is the light is going through the film, bouncing off the back of the camera and back through the base layer, kind of like red scale, which is what gives you that orange-red look around the highlights. But other than that, I'm pretty confident that we will create a very similar look that is pretty comparable to CineStill. I actually really like this photo. This is this rad basketball court that's lit cool at night. Again, you see that red glow you get off the highlights in addition to the bloom. You see it again here. Again, that's the light bouncing back through the base layer, which is giving you that little extra warmth. So one of the things that I noticed with CineStill, the contrast is definitely higher. Some of that comes from the fact that when you develop it in C41 and not ECN2, you are actually pushing the film one stop, which is why they rate it at 800T and not 500T, even though that's what it is. But you get extra contrast, you get the blooming, you get the red halation around the highlights, and the saturated colors. So I did very minimal editing to these. I basically just boosted contrast and added a little bit of saturation just because my scanner scans a little linear. But this is CineStill. We all know the look, we all like it. Now let's take a look at our Kodak Ultramax 400. So these first photos are the filter test that I did, where I compared the 1/8 black pro mist, the 1/4 black pro mist, and then the 1 glimmer glass, just to see which one recreated the blooming around the highlights. I did 2 exposures per, one darker, one lighter. This is the 1/8 black pro mist on the darker image. If we go to the brighter one, so you can see here, you get that glow. It's close. This is the 1/4 black pro mist, a little more intense, but honestly, they're pretty similar. You notice it more when you overexpose a little bit, so that's a tip you can keep in your back pocket if you want to get that look without shooting CineStill. I mean, obviously you have to use a filter to make the glow work more if you overexpose, and then this was our Glimmer Glass 1, which surprisingly should be more intense. It just reacts differently. Like if we were to compare the Glimmer Glass to the 1/4. So you can see the little difference. It is more intense on the Glimmer Glass, which is on the right, and the 1/4 black pro mist is on the left. I actually kind of like the softness, how it feathers out more than the 1/4 black pro mist, but I then went ahead unknowingly and just chose one of the filters. I chose 1/4 black pro mist to shoot the rest of the roll on because I thought that was going to give us the best look, closest to CineStill. So this next photo, honestly, probably one of my favorites that I got out of this roll, was this dude closing up his little shop. He was under this cool spotlight, which I thought was rad, and I love just like how the glow from the filter kind of radiates around him. You do get that extra bloom in the highlights here. So I do think we nailed the blooming aspect with the diffusion filter. What, again, I don't think we're going to be able to recreate without more post work is the actual like red glow. So on this film, light is not bouncing back through the base layer. The filter's just dispersing the light more and making it softer and have that bloom. I did push this roll one stop to introduce more contrast as well as saturation. I had to go ahead and boost the contrast and the saturation a little bit more, but the look is there, like especially in this one. Like if I were to take the same shot on both, other than the red ring that might show up, again, sometimes it doesn't on CineStill. It depends on the light and the exposure. But I think these would look pretty dang close. It's like, again, I can show, if I show you this one, this is the Ultramax. You get the glow, it looks cool. I underexposed it a little bit, but if I were to go back to the CineStill and show you a very similar photo, obviously exposure is different, but you can see here, that's the red glow everyone talks about that is going to be really hard to recreate in camera. But you could go into Lightroom or Photoshop and just select this area and push the hue to a different color. But anyway, that just shows you a comparison. I'll pop up both on the screen here side by side so you can see it. But yeah, I mean, we got really close. I think some we're going to be able to tell the difference, some won't. If anything, it's its own kind of cool look that we recreated. But again, like, there's a lot of similarities. In my opinion, all we didn't nail was the red tint and hue that you get around some of the like really specular highlights like this. I mean, it's kind of there, but not as intense as if you go to one of the CineStill shots. And I mean, let me find a better one. This one's a better example. There you go. That red glow. So I'm pretty pumped on these. I think we got really close. Maybe next time would probably go with the Glimmerglass 1 and try that out. One thing I did want to show you guys, so another aspect of CineStill that you get is in the shadows, you kind of get this cooler tone to it. For those that are like super into editing their photos in Lightroom, there's obviously nothing wrong with it. You have the diehard people that shoot on film. It's like analog or nothing. Both ways are great. It's whatever you want to do. That's the fun of it. You can shoot on film and then bring it in and manipulate the heck out of it in Lightroom, and that's also great. I tried to push that look into this photo a little bit more as a test. So I selected just the shadows, and then I moved the hue to like a cyan, and I pushed the saturation in the shadow area, which if I were to turn it off, you can see it brings in a decent amount. Again, these are all subtle things. In the film industry, we do a lot of color grading. We'll match looks or whatever. So this kind of runs in line with stuff that I do for work. I also then did the same with the highlights. I pushed it towards like the red, orange, and then boosted the saturation. So then you can see it introduces a little more warmth in the highlights, but you still don't get the ring around the highlights like you do with CineStill. Another one that I did, here we go. Okay, so this one, you actually do kind of get that warmer ring around it. And now I will admit, I wanted to see how far I could push it in post, and that was achieved with a little bit of editing here. So what I did, if I were to turn this off, this is what the photo looks like originally. So you can see the neon lights from the domino sign is a lot cooler. What I did was I selected just this glow. I used color range here. I basically created a mask. And then all I did was come down here and I just changed the hue and pushed it towards red. And that's what it gave. So closer. Again, if you were to compare the two, it looks a little different, but I mean, you can get there. You can get really close. So that's without it, that's with it. So it's cool. Those are a few things. I wouldn't personally take the time to go do this on every photo unless it was for some sort of job that I had to do. Like I actually kind of like the cooler look, but the glow to me around the light, the blooming is, I think, a signature look, whether you have the warmth or not. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I think we got really close. Did we nail it to the T? No, because you don't get that red glow around some of the highlights. But also what's funny is like on CineStill, sometimes you don't get that either. It depends on the lighting. It depends on your exposure. I purposely shot things that had really hot sources like these lights here, so you could see that look more. And then that's also why I went on the Kodak roll and I shot very similar things here. So it's softer. Again, I pushed some warmth in the highlights. So it's close. These are all minutia details and it's all subjective. So yeah, that's it, guys. That was the experiment. I think we got pretty dang close. Yes, there are some small differences, but if you like that look and you don't want to always shoot on CineStill because it is expensive, you can buy a diffusion filter once, and honestly, it could be whatever diffusion filter you like. There's tons of them out there. I like the Black Pro Mist and the Glimmerglass, and they come in different intensities. So for this, we did quarter. I might try the Glimmerglass 1 next time just to play around with it. But I think we got as close as we can get. We could get closer if we went in and took a bunch of time on the highlights in the, in Lightroom. But this was fun. It was cool to test. And I think if you like this look, you can get yourself a diffusion filter and go out and get very similar results. I don't even know if you have to push process. Like, you could process normal and just add more contrast in Lightroom if you want to save a step. So that was my experiment. I'll leave a little slideshow here at the end just to show all the photos, and I'll do a couple comparisons so you can see. But I hope this was fun. If you guys want to see more stuff like this, as always, leave us a comment, let us know, give us suggestions. Did you like this? How close do you think we got? And don't forget to subscribe as well. It only helps us make more awesome videos, and we love doing it. So have a good one, guys. See you next time.